things are about to get cranked up several notches for college basketball and football players. If you have not heard, some interesting news bubbling up over the last 24 hours or so. We have learned that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is going to create a presidential commission for college athletes. The first step, this is the first step for what? For the feds to find a answer, a solution to the wild, wild west that is going on in your college sports. NIL, transfer portal. The initial story came from Yahoo. Yeah, Yahoo. Now, they tell us that many of the big wigs, the big cheese over there, the big ragu at college sports, have been briefed by the White House. They've been given the outline on the plan. It's been called a landmark decision, even though it hasn't officially happened. It's going to be one of those points in the history of college sports that 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years from now, assuming we're all still here, we won't be, many of us, but they'll look back at this moment and say, well, that was a big moment. Now, the blue ribbon panel, I love a good blue ribbon panel. They are set to tackle the amount of player movement in the portal, the transfer portal, the unregulated booster compensation. How dare you pay and pay and pay and pay and pay to the athletes? And also there's this debate about the solution. Do you cross the Rubicon and make the players employees? That's always been the sticking point going back many, many years, actually over 100 years, whether or not the players are employees or they're not. And then there's also the concern that some have, what about the Olympic sports that no one cares about? That these teams are moving all over the country in conferences for football and basketball, but then the teams, the sports that aren't meat and potatoes sports, they also have to travel across the country, and that becomes a financial burden. So that's an issue. Then you've got the fly in the ointment, which is Title IX. And then there's even like revenue sharing. I mean, it's a big turd burger. I mean, it's a big one. So then we got TV involved. There's a bunch of stuff. So let us discuss the question. We'll frame it this way. President Trump, he has a plan to create a federal commission to regulate college athletics. How does that vibe with you? So I've got Art Center, Crest, and Wet Socks. And we will combine all of these things together, and we will make them jumbo size. We're going to make them jumbo size is what we're going to do. All right, so my first thought here, this is obviously a mess. I don't know that I need to say that, but I will begin with that. It's a messy situation. It's a sloppy meal. It's a dog's lunch is what it is. Now, I have long advocated, I have long supported the payment of players. I used to do rants, and I know Alf, the alien opiner, and some of you guys that have been with me a long time here on the show, you remember every college basketball tournament and every college football, like the old BCS days, I would do the same rant about this is ridiculous. It used to drive me insane how many times I heard student athlete, student athlete, student athlete, student athlete, And I know the history of that, and the whole point of that was to avoid having to pay workers' comp. That's why they came up with that term, and they used it. And so listen, the system was lopsided. It was lopsided in favor of the universities for multiple generations. And now we've done a 180, and if you're halfway decent as a college football player or a basketball player, you're getting a little bit of money. And if you're really good, it's a gold rush. It's boom times is what it is. And so you have this cacophony of issues that have popped up. The NIL payments, the transfer portal, the conference realignment. You've got UCLA and USC that are in a conference with Rutgers, right, in New Jersey. You've got Maryland, who's in a conference with USC and UCLA. You also have the Bay Area schools that are in the Atlantic Coast Conference. It's just absurd, right? Now, the problem is this. right? Here's the issue. There's obviously something needs to be tweaked, but you're talking about it's an art center situation. Politics in my life has mostly been the art of making things worse, not better. When has Congress ever really made things better? It has happened, but very rare, very rare. You're more likely to see Halley's Comet than you are to see a good political decision. Political leaders always prioritize their interests. So even on this, like you said, well, that something needs to be done. But going back to the beginning, like, and I'm not getting a political rant, but the framers of the Constitution, they had a rallying cry when America was founded about no taxation without representation and this, and then they wanted fewer laws and regulations and all that. And the country's been around for 248 years, and now it's just wrapped in red tape. And expect the same to happen for this. Like, I'm sure at the beginning they'll put some rules in, and it won't be that big a deal. And eventually they'll keep adding and adding. There'll be a new government agency that'll get rubber stamped here, and there'll be some commission that will lead to another commission, and then down the rabbit hole, and the flag is up. Which, to say in a roundabout way, is just, it's the new bureaucracy is the old bureaucracy. Now, secondly, former Alabama football coach Nick Saban that could not handle the changing landscape. The reason Nick Saban is no longer coaching at Alabama is not his health. It's that he no longer wanted to deal with the bullcrap. So he got out. And so Nick Saban is expected to co-chair the President Trump Commission alongside, there's some business people here and some other big wigs from college sports in the past. So, question. Is the old Alabama football coach Nick Saban, is Nick Saban the right person to help shape the future of college sports? That seems like kind of a big deal. So, as much as I appreciate what Nick Saban did, I'm going to go no. He's not. He's from the old world, and there's got to be some balance here. Like, I could see Saban going in there and say, listen, I'm Nick Saban. I'm a Crest guy. And I'm going to put the toothpaste back in the tube. I'm the fixer. I'm going to come in here, and it's going to be just like it was. We're going to use the student-athlete term. No one's getting paid. Nobody. It's going to be a drought. There'll be no money left. And, of course, that's not going to work. He'll die trying. Just make it how it used to be. Just like that old slogan from Crest. Look, Ma, no cavities. No cavities. Good luck with that. Now, Nick Saban has long expressed concerns with the name, image, likeness deal that's turned this into essentially an arms race in college football and basketball, more football than basketball. And remember, he initially at Alabama thought it was redonkulous to even have NIL payments. He advocated for strict draconian restrictions on NIL, and so you would assume that he'll be part of a federal commission that will do the same thing. Now, spoiler alert! There are so many lawyers in the United States. NIL is not going away. This has got lawsuit after lawsuit. This has gone all the way to the Supreme Court because there's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of billable hours out there. The question is how this commission can tiptoe around the landmines and come up with some guardrails that limit transfers and limit, if you transfer, the payments, what you have to lose, you have to pay money back, like those kind of things. And whatever they do, there's going to be 700 or 800 lawyers that are ready to file a lawsuit. All right, final thought. We pivot away from college football to the riveting news of a new team nickname. Dateline, the Great Salt Lake, after 13 months of waiting, a trademark battle royale. There were 850,000 online ballots cast, multiple rounds of voting. The Utah hockey team now has a name forever and ever until the wokesters decide that name's offensive. They will be the Utah Mammoth. The Mammoth have arrived. That's right. The Utah Mammoth was revealed as the new moniker for the NHL franchise. According to the team, they chose the singular Mammoth as opposed to Mammoths. So they'll be the Mammoth. And they say it symbolizes one team, all in, and all of Utah. Okay. Sure that's the ticket. The new team logo is the head of a mammoth with the curved tusk of the mammoth. So how does the new Utah Mammoth nickname sound in your ears? How does that sound in your ears? So it sounds to me like wet socks. Ergo, you know when you have wet socks and that squishing sound in the shoes? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's just feels weird. It sounds weird. The Mammoth name, like I'm not going to totally kill it. It's subtle, but yet I find the name unsettling as much as I can find a team name from a team I don't follow unsettling. I am happy that the Utah Mammoth are not named the Eagles, which I believe is the most popular nickname in college sports. Eagles, Tigers, another very popular name, or Bulldogs or Wildcats. So I'm happy about that. However, I will die on the mountain that it should have been the Yeti. It should have been the Yeti, period, hard stop. And that would have been perfect. They were stonewalled by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, which rejected the application for the Utah Yetis. They claimed there would be confusion because people are stupid. Consumers are idiots, according to the people at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, and that because of the Yeti Coolers, LLC, they have the trademark to make coolers and drinkware and clothing and all that, that there's no way you can have a hockey team named the Yeti and a cooler, because the people buying the cooler would think they're buying the hockey team, and the people buying tickets to the hockey team would think they're buying a cooler. So that is a loss for Utah. And at some point, they'll have to get rid of the Mammoth, because I'm sure you go back far enough, there's some kind of connection. People, I say, well, the Mammoth is gone, but they died from the Mammoth, previous life forms on the planet, so that's a problem. They could have worked something out. The other issue I have, I don't know if I'm the only one, when I think of Mammoth, I don't think of the woolly mammoth, I think of the ski resort in the Sierra Nevadas in California. When I say, hey, there's the Mammoth, I'm like, oh, who's going skiing? Who's going to Mammoth? That's what I don't think of the Utah. I think of the Mammoth, the ski resort in California. That's what I think of. But what do I know?